So I'll call the meeting to order. Anyone need to be excused? We're all here. Then we'll go on to the minutes of the last Planning Commission meeting on January 21st. They were circulated. Could have a motion to accept them, please. UB moves. Any discussion whatsoever? All in favor? That is passed. Moving on to any post-agenda items. Seeing none, nobody coming forward, can we have an adoption of the agenda, please? Kelly moves the adoption of the agenda as presented. All in favor? So then we'll move on. We have a development report on page 6 of our report. Are there any questions or clarifications necessary? I see no questions coming forth, therefore we'll accept it as information. And we'll move on to subdivisions. And Shanali, are you taking it?
I'll present the subdivisions.
Okay, go ahead. I can never remember who does what here. Thanks, Maria.
That's okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, so our first subdivision today is file number 2020-0-059. The subject lands are in the southeast of 281713, which is in Division 2, and it's 5 kilometers west of the hamlet of Tilly. The parcel is zoned agriculture. There is direct legal access to the remnant parcel. And the applicant intends to build an additional approach to create physical access to the remnant parcel if this subdivision is approved. The subdivision would be considered the third parcel out of this quarter section. In the agriculture land use district, there is a maximum number of parcels allowed, or sorry, the maximum number of parcels allowed are 2. So council has done first reading for a land use amendment to change this land use in order to allow this additional subdivision to happen on the quarter section. So today I'm presenting this subdivision to MPC, and then later today the land use amendment will be presented to council for second and third reading. And public hearing, pardon me. There is an existing house and shed located on the proposed parcel. These developments are all contained within the subdivision and meet the setbacks of the land use bylaw. There is, however, a dugout that is located on the remnant parcel that is encroaching onto the proposed subdivision. The applicant has indicated that he intends to use the dugout for livestock watering jointly with the subdivision. The conditions, so the staff recommends that this subdivision be approved with the following conditions: that all outstanding property taxes be paid to the County of Newell, that the land use amendment bylaw 2000-21 be given third reading by council prior to subdivision endorsement, that the applicant enter into a development agreement for the installation of a new approach that will be registered concurrently with the subdivision, and that an agreement be established for the encroachment and joint use of the dugout between the newly subdivided parcel and the remnant parcel. Municipal reserve is applicable for this subdivision. Municipal reserve can either be deferred to the remnant parcel, or staff is recommending that municipal reserve be provided as money in lieu of land on the 1.8 hectares, 4.45 acres. The land value as per county policy is $4,000 per acre. So 10% of that, the money owing would be $1,780. There was responses from the Eastern Irrigation District, and they have their standard requirements for rural water use agreement, and no easements are required from any third parties. I think that's it.
Sorry, I was having trouble getting my voice back. Any questions? Seeing no.
Tracy has her hand up.
Oh, who has?
Tracy.
Okay, go ahead, Tracy. Sorry.
My question was, Maria, like, and in our package, under the items listed on consideration or conditions to be considered, it doesn't state in there as a point for the road. But you mentioned that there would be an agreement for a construction of a legal approach for access. So do we need to identify that specifically as one of our points under those conditions?
Go ahead, Maria.
Okay. Thanks for pointing that out, Tracy. So I left that out. I didn't put it in for the first one, so I just amended the package. So you must have downloaded it. You're on the ball. You downloaded it before I made the changes. So I did add that to the resolution. So the new package does have that, but I do think that I would recommend including that as a condition.
Okay.
Okay.
Tracy? Yeah, okay. Anything else?
Yeah, that's good.
Anne-Marie?
So the situation with the dugout, Maria, it's not ideal to have one dugout with two property owners. But when you say agreement, would that be a caveat on the title? So it's known for the new owners, 10 years from now, that's the condition of the dugout?
Yes. So I did speak to the applicant about this encroachment, and he is under the understanding that MPC can request that property lines be moved if required, but he would like to have an agreement drawn up by a lawyer and then put that on title so that all future parties are aware that these are the rules and the stipulations of the joint use for that dugout.
Okay, thanks.
Yubi?
Thanks, Clarence. Maria, was there any indication the owners were going to put a modular home on there at all?
I haven't been made aware of that, and I don't believe that a development permit has been, or a development permit application has been submitted to the county, so that I can't speak on.
Okay. Anything else? Ready for the motion, Tracy?
No, just to go back to the pond. Like, to me, that is sort of worried down the road. It brings it forward that it's not something that's clear and true. And I'm just wondering about how everyone else feels about, like, should we move the property line a bit so it is on one property only? And then it would just be something that the adjacent property owners would discuss about sharing the usage of the pond. But to me, it just kind of leaves it so fragmented, and I don't know. It worries me about that one stipulation about the pond sharing.
Really, but have we really ever been worried about where people get their water supply from? The pond, I mean, it's not on the property that's coming off. So, I mean, that's where their water supply is coming from. Is that our concern, or I'm just asking? Brian?
And I share that. I mean, I look at what's transpired in, I would say, most of the county, and in that regards in the Eastern Irrigation District, as far as in our area too, is a lot of these dugouts have disappeared because when the EIDs upgraded their systems, they provided that rural irrigation water right to the yard sites. And so I'm reluctant to, I think the agreement is fine the way it is. It says an agreement to establish an encroachment use between the dugout. That covers it in my mind. So I'm confident that would be adequate. And if in somewhere down the road, if they provide two different deliveries, one for the farmland use and one for the yard use, that would be completely logical, and that's probably the trend that you'll see. So, and with that, I will make a motion to approve this.
Thank you, Brian. Any further discussion or necessary? I see no hands. I will ask the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, this is passed. Go on to the next one, Maria.
Okay, thank you. This is subdivision file number 2020-0-062. The subject lands are in the southeast of 17-19-15, west of the 4th Meridian. It is 3.5 kilometers north of the community of Castles and 10 kilometers west of the city of Brooks in Division 5. The parcel is zoned agriculture, and access to the parcel, it would be from Range Road 15-4. The applicant intends to use the proposed parcel for country residential use. He has submitted a letter from a certified septic installer and has verified that the subject lands can sustain a septic disposal system. This proposed parcel is vacant. And they would like to build as soon as possible. Staff recommends that this subdivision be approved. It's a 2.83 hectare, 7-acre parcel with the conditions that all property taxes be paid and that any utility right-of-ways, easements or agreements that are required from any third parties be registered concurrently with the subdivision. Municipal reserve for this subdivision it is not required, as it is considered the first parcel out of this quarter section. And there were no comments received from referral agencies or adjacent landowners.
Thank you. Anne-Marie?
I like this one. Pretty straightforward. Vacant parcel, 7 acres, so I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Are there any further concerns or questions? Seeing none, I will ask the questions. All in favor? Any opposed? There are none opposed. Everyone was in favor. This is passed. Moving on to development permits. Now we got Shanna Lee. Thank you.
My first two permits are for the same parcel of land, and Mr. Tilma is here to answer questions. 2020-8081 is for approval of the existing single-family dwelling attached to garage one of the shops and 4 grain bins with a variance to the setback of the road right-of-way. The variance it was approved at a 10-foot setback from the west. However, the dwelling was built 5 feet from the property line. Therefore, they're requesting a variance of 95 feet for the dwelling. The shops the shop and the grain bins were installed prior to the road allowance being installed to the north. So they were compliant until the road allowance went in. Now they are not compliant. So Mr. Tillman is requesting a 91-foot variance for the shop and an 80-foot variance for the grain bins to remain as they are. They are existing. There was no issues or concerns from staff, and there was no response from adjacent landowners on this permit.
So I have a question. Why did none of us pick up on this when we did made that the new road allowance? I certainly didn't think about it. If I was a landowner, I think everything's fine when we do something like that. So, but I understand, shouldn't that have been done together?
The approval of the existing buildings?
Yes. Like, it seems kind of funny that we say, hey, we can build a road there and we don't, and we're dealing with the people involved, and that we don't say then the variances are granted or whatever, or get with it right away, because it just seems like, I just think we just overlooked it.
I think
I don't know. It's just a comment, like, and I'm perfectly in favor of doing it now, but I mean, I just wonder in the future whether if we ran into a situation like this again, whether we shouldn't be doing this all together and with the understanding that that's there. Because if I was a landowner and the county says, well, we'd like to put a road there, I wouldn't have to think that I'd have to come back and get variances later. It just, I don't know. It seems kind of strange to me, but it's just a comment, maybe more than having to have an answer. I'll throw it open to the floor. Lionel?
Well, there. I think we were so relieved that we got some sort of a settlement on that I don't think anybody really was looking for any sort of complications. So in my mind, I think we were pretty happy that something happened and left it at that.
That's probably true. Any other questions on this particular part?
Jeff has his hand up, Clarence.
Okay, Jeff.
I can just provide a little bit of background on what we did there and how we did it and kind of the process. It's definitely, we've talked about and had internal discussion about, not so much in this situation of providing variances or permits or some type of relief at the subdivision stage. We've talked about when people are subdividing and the subdivision creates, a variance to the setbacks under the land use bylaw. So we have discussed implementing these things at those time, but this road registration with Mr. Tilma happened before we got into that discussion. So it's definitely on the radar going forward. But our current practice has been to identify those situations in the subdivision application, and then allow, at MPC's discretion, the parcel to carry on non-compliant to the land use bylaw. But obviously, when they come for another permit, which we'll hear next, they do need to be drawn into compliance. So there's definitely the opportunity to do it at the time these alterations to the legal base are taking place, and definitely something we're considering. If you do have a chance to open the Tilma sketch folder there, you do notice that that new road allowance deviates to the northeast and then back to the southeast, and that was done at the time because we did know it was getting real close to that existing storage shop there on Mr. Tilma's property.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. I think we should have that discussion, or someone should. Wayne?
We approve this application.
Move that we approve this first part. Okay. All for any further discussion? All in favor? That is passed. Second part, Shanley.
Development permit 2020082 for the same parcel of land is for the approval of an existing agricultural building and the addition of an addition with a variance to the setback to the road to the north. The shop 2 again was also constructed prior to the road allowance being installed. So they're requesting a variance of 55 feet from the road. The applicant's intention is to build the addition 45 feet from the road right away at the closest point. The existing and the addition will be attached by a breezeway located at the south end of the buildings to allow the equipment to move through the buildings. There is 2 responses in the package from Municipal Services. The first response is when we had first circulated it, the addition was closer to the road right of way. So the first response from Municipal Services was to that site plan, and the second response from Municipal Services is to the current site plan to which Mr. Tilma had submitted after the fact. I provided 2 options. One of the options is to approve the building, the existing building as is, and that's it. The second option is to approve the building as is and approve the building with the addition and the variance to the setback.
Questions, discussion? Mr. Tilma, would you like to add anything at this point?
Thank you, Clarence, for having me here, and everybody for having me here. Well, of course, we go back a couple years now with everybody, and I'm happy that first development permit went through here. And yeah, that might be something for the future to, if we ever do something like that again between us, then we have to bring that to the table to start with. But I think that's taken care of. Here on the second development permit that we'd like to apply for a new potato storage is, yeah, we'd like to do this, and with this we stay in our yard. We don't go outside of the yard. And the first drawing that we sent in, I understood we were too close to the road, and I understand that it doesn't work at all for future development on the road there. So we came with Plan B, and I think yeah, with Plan B we can we stay completely within our yard. We stay within our on the north side. We stay within excuse me. On the north side, we stay right beside the grain bins. So we have the grain bins that are existing right next to the road as it is already. So we're not changing anything. We're not coming closer. The yard is not getting anywhere near close to the road allowance. So I hope with this with this development permit that we can go ahead and build a storage here that is in nobody's way this way.
I think, Yelmer, you should also point out that it's not very evident to anyone who's never been in your yard, but there's a tremendous drop off when we go further south and further away. That probably influences where you put buildings on that particular property also. So. Yes,
absolutely. If we look around our property here, then nothing is safe, or everything that we own here on equipment needs spark brakes or blocks of wood behind the tires. And this way, we do have to dig into the yard about 8 feet to make this happen. But this is probably the most level spot that we can build on. And with that, we can also connect our existing storage to the new storage, and that, yeah, then we don't have the trouble of moving equipment back and forth and setting up a new building, which is also more costly if we build in a different spot. So with that, I think this, for us, this is a perfect option to build right here.
So Shanley, there's been no, nothing from other parties opposed to this?
No, Clarence, none of the adjacent landowners have submitted anything. There was just the 2 responses from Municipal Services that I included in your package, and that was it.
And of course, Mark has to do that because he has to follow bylaws, but we have, as MPC, do have the discretionary powers. So is that basically it?
That's correct.
Right. Okay, further discussion, please, Brian?
Well, my question is just primarily on the difference between option 1 and 2, and I've read them through 3 times now, and it just says conditions outlined below, and I read them too, but I'm not sure. I'd like to make a motion to move forward on this, but which option does is the most suitable? I guess my first question would be to Elmer, which one is the one that you would provide? Because I think they both are so close. They're both very similar, and just maybe I need some clarification on what the difference is, Shanley, on the 2.
And Brian, I'm glad you couldn't figure it out, the 2 differences either, because I didn't either.
Okay,
Go ahead, Shanley.
Okay, so option 2 is to approve the building as it is, just the existing building. Sorry, option 1 is to approve the existing building. Option 2 is to approve the existing building and the addition.
Okay, so that would be my motion to option 1, to make a motion to approve this application for option 2.
And that is to give the variance to the new building as well.
Right.
Correct. Who have we got? Alan?
The wrong button. You know, I see it differently. Number 1 is not going to give approval to the variance. I think it's option number 2 we're looking for. Otherwise, Mr.
Alan, that's the one Brian has made. There's some confusion there, but he did make the number 2.
Oh, he said number 1, but anyway, because I would approve number 2.
Yeah, you're right. There was confusion there. He corrected at the end.
Oh, okay.
Right, Brian? Okay. So this would allow Mr. Tillman to build. Further
clarification.
Okay, we have the question to approve as condition number 2, which allows for the building of the new potato storage as presented. Is everybody clear? All in favor? That is passed. Thank you, Yelmer, for coming in. And
Thank you very much
you'll
for
have
having me and taking the time to run this through with everyone.
Good luck
Great.
with building.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your patience, Elmer.
No worries.
Okay, we are on to the Aylman development permit.
Okay, Development permit 2021003 is to approve an existing agricultural building and the construction of an addition to that building. The applicant is not requesting any variance to the land use bylaw. The applicant will be using the building for an animal shelter and a riding arena. There was no issues from staff. There was no response from adjacent landowners. We sent the report to the City of Brooks IDP members, and Mrs. Bartlett responded that they have no issues with the development. We're recommending approval with conditions.
Any discussion or questions? Kelly?
Questions. I agree with staff, and I'd be happy to make the motion.
Okay, Kelly, thank you. Are there any further clarifications necessary? Are you ready for the question? All in favor? That is passed. Okay, we have no post-agenda items and nothing in camera. We've got some information items. Are there any comments on those? Question period. Anything else whatsoever and for MPC? Thank you everyone for your cooperation, and I will adjourn the meeting.